Welcome back to another episode of Penelope Draws Manga. Today I'm going to be drawing a friend of mine's original character, or to be more precise, an old version of her character. There were no existing pictures of how this character looks currently, so the most recent ones that we had to go off of were a little bit old, but still definitely really cool. So this pose that I'm having him do, he has his hand raised over his head like he's trying to shield himself. This was especially difficult for me to draw because I'm not very familiar with how the arm connects to the body when it's raised. I'm still not 100% sure I got it right, but his clothes aren't exactly close fitting, so I think it ended up looking pretty okay. The hardest parts were, of course, sketching out the hand. The up top hand is actually mostly cut off by the picture. I just made it smaller here so that I could better place the fingers without having them go off the page. But the other hand is where I really struggled. There were lots of trips back and forth to the mirror while I was cupping my face like he's doing, just so that I could see how this would realistically look. And even after this sketching phase and into the second sketch/line art phase, I was still redrawing his hand on his face. I call it, let's see how long it takes Penelope to draw a singular hand. Hopefully I get better as I keep doing art, but right now, it just takes me so long. I think they turned out alright in the end. So about this character. His name is Lutz, although of course that's just a nickname, and he's a knight. The reason why I have him holding his face like this is because at one point he was blasted by magic when he was fighting this wizard guy. I can't really remember all the details, but anyway, the guy he was fighting was magic, and he got blasted and burned by it in a really bad way. So I tried to make this picture like he's just been inflicted with this. You'll see what I mean a little bit later when I add the color. Anywho, back to the hand. Something that really helped me was making these kind of circular looking things on each joint of the finger. It helped me to remember where each joint of the finger is and remind me that it's actually like a round type 3D object. Adding wrinkles and lines on the hand that's closer to us also helped make the closer hand feel more 3D as well. In the upper right corner, at least for now, is a reference picture of Lutz. His hair was not initially blue, but it turned blue after the magical burn. Also, I love how it's darker blue on the top and then lighter blue on the edges. It just looks so cool and it was super fun to do. I don't really have many characters with hair colors that aren't like realistic hair colors, so drawing Lutz's almost neon blue hair was a really fun change of pace for me. For some reason, when I started coloring in this picture, I thought it'd be a fun idea to try using the soft airbrush tool to fill in all of the colored areas. It wasn't fun. I just spent a lot of extra time erasing the parts that came outside the lines, so I'm probably not going to do that again, although it did give a nice soft, painted type look to the work. I actually kind of like how it turned out, but it was such a pain I probably won't try it again. To get the colors exactly right, I sampled them directly off of the original picture. The colors were pretty good, except for the part where I changed the color of the skin of the face. Oh, and the skin of the right hand too, because it was a very similar color to the clothes, so I had to adjust the levels of brightness. Just to add a little extra contrast, make the picture a little more visually interesting. Okay, so next I'm adding the color of the burn, and as you can see from this initial picture, the color of the clothes and the color of the burn was very similar. So I ended up changing the color of, I think it was the shirt that I changed, not the hand, to make it a little bit lighter and provide that contrast so that we can clearly see one from the other. Lutz also has these weird little glowing star things on his skin, which I think are really cool looking. So I dotted those all over with a soft brush tool and then later went over them with an add effect so that they kind of look like they're glowing a little bit. It wasn't a hard thing to do and it was pretty fun. So it looks pretty cool, but unfortunately this dual toned face was giving me a lot of trouble when it came to actually shading it. Because I have a really strong light source in this picture coming from the direction of the raised hand, a strong shadow forms on the right side of his face, or the left side as we're looking at it. Because the skin is already dark, it made the shadow look extremely dark. I tried multiple different ways of going about this, some of which I did not show on screen. I tried cell shading, I tried filling in the entire face with the dark shading color and then erasing the parts where the light would be hitting it, but everything seemed kind of like muddy and not quite right. Also, I had to keep moving the nose because it just didn't feel like it was in the right spot on the face. Eventually I just ended up going with it. I realized that no amount of time that I spent on it would make it look better than it already did, so I just had to go with it. Doing the hair was really fun though. I really enjoyed adding the soft highlights to it. It made the hair feel so soft and smooth. When it came to the ponytail though, I wasn't exactly sure what I was supposed to do, so I just kind of winged it, and I think it looks halfway okay, so we're gonna go with it. Everything was looking a little too light, so I added a multiply filter over everything. And it really made the picture feel like the character was in the dark and primed it for the hard light source that I was going to put up in the top right corner. He was still looking a little flat, so next I added some shading to his clothes, and this made such a huge difference. It really changed the way that the picture looked, especially the folds on his sleeve. It just made it look so much more 3D, and I'm really glad that it turned out the way that it did. Originally, my plan was to have his hand casting a shadow over his face, but then I realized that I'm actually not an experienced enough artist to do that, at least yet. One day I would like to be able to do that. It was really cool in my head, and I wish I could have carried it out. Maybe later when I have more free time to draw, I'll attempt it again. At this point, I'm just adding a few touch-ups like a bit of lighting on those little spikes of hair at the back, adjusting light levels, adding a little bit more shine to the front part of the hair, and really that's about it. And Lutz is finally finished. I enjoyed working on this picture, although it presented some difficulties. Thank you so much to Delta Focus for letting me draw him, and maybe when he gets another updated version, I can draw him again. Oh, and in return, she drew one of my characters for me, and I laugh, I kid you not, every time I see this picture. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I hope you'll stay tuned for my next episode. Bye-bye!